Welcome to Catawba Care's Speakers Bureau video segment. Today we're going to hear actual stories from individuals who live with HIV. Please give them your undivided attention. I introduce to you our speaker.
Hi, my name's Michael. I was diagnosed almost 19 years ago with HIV. And really to tell you my story, I need to tell you the story about two other guys. But you don't need to remember any of our names. Really, what you need to remember are these two rings on my finger. You see, my first partner and I, that's who this first ring represents, he and I moved up to Ohio and we had a pet store. And in September of 1992, Randy was sick for that whole month. We went to the doctors and had him tested and they couldn't figure out what the problem was. At the end of the month, he was feeling better, so we kind of let it slide. But by December, I'd been watching a lot of TV, and back then they had a lot of public service announcements about getting tested for HIV. So I went to the Canton, Ohio City Health Department and had a blood test done. 2 weeks later, the day after Christmas, when I went back, they gave me the results that I was positive. At first, I kind of wasn't surprised. I remember the nurse's look on her face when she told me, because, you know, by that point, many of my friends had already been diagnosed. Some had already even passed away, so I really wasn't surprised that I had HIV. Now, although not every gay guy back then had HIV, and not every gay guy now does have HIV, but I was just pretty certain by that point that I had been infected. Now, my partner, he was a lot sicker than I was. We went to an infectious disease doctor. I took him up to Cleveland Clinic, where he participated in some of the drug trials, but he continued to get worse. And back then, usually when you got an AIDS diagnosis, a year and a half later was about all it took. And sure enough, 18 months after we got that diagnosis, my partner passed away. Now by that time, they had already put me on some medicines because I wasn't as sick. I was taking AZT 4 times a day. 4 pills, 4 hours apart, 24/7. It was a lot of pills, and they made me really sick. Eventually I quit taking those and I switched to some other meds, and those had serious side effects too. And it went that way for a couple years of me being very sick and being on meds. Eventually though, I quit some other meds and I got so sick I ended in the hospital with PCP. That's a pneumonia that's related to HIV. And there the doctors told me, after they gave me the meds, that they'd given me all they could, and it was kind of up in the air whether I was going to survive or not. But luckily I pulled through, and that's why I'm here today. And I continued to be on some more meds. I spent many of those years really depressed and fighting the side effects from those meds. I lost my job. I almost lost my home. I ended up staying in the house all the time so I wasn't infected with somebody else's cold germs even, because by that point, nearly anything could have been the end of me. Eventually the medicines got a little bit better and I began to feel a little bit better and realized that maybe I wasn't gonna die and maybe there really was a life worth living. So I got a part-time job for a while and I even fell in love again. And that's where the second ring comes in. This is for my second long-term partner. He and I were together for nearly 10 years, and then in March of 2008, just a few years ago, he was sick, kind of like that other partner. He was sick, and at first we thought it was the flu that had been going around, and he threw it off and then got sick again. So they put him in the hospital to run some extra tests, and while he was there, by my birthday, we found out that he had AIDS and a really high viral load. That's the amount of virus that's in you, and 3 tumors of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. That's an HIV-related cancer. They gave him anti-HIV meds, and they treated him twice with chemo for the tumors, but they continued to grow, and he got very sick, so much that there was really nothing else they could do. So I took him back home. In May, 14 years after my first partner had passed away in May, my second partner passed away in May of 2008. And yet here I am today after the end of both of those. I've been through a lot of medicines, 18 different medicines at this point, and I've been through a lot of side effects. I don't know if there's a special reason why I hung around or not, or if it was just the luck of the draw that I had the right meds at the right time. I do know that part of it is because I was tested and I got treated in time. Both of my partners, the one in 1994 and the one in 2008, both of them went untested and untreated so long that there really wasn't anything that they could do. And that's why I help with Catawba Care now, trying to get the word out about preventing HIV and telling people what they can do to reduce their risk. Because having HIV is no fun. And if you have it and you don't get tested, and you don't know you have it, and you don't get treated, you can end up dying.
All right, Michael, our first question. What were some reasons or signs that made you think to get tested for HIV?
I really didn't have any symptoms or any signs of the HIV. I know my partner had been sick for a while. My biggest reason was I know I had obviously engaged in risky behavior of having unprotected sex, so I went and got tested.
Okay. What was your reaction when you were told you were positive?
My first reaction really was that I wasn't very surprised. Many of my friends had come up positive, and I knew I had not done everything I should, so I kind of figured that was the answer I was going to get.
What is it like taking the medications?
It used to be really bad. I was taking about 32 different pills and tablespoons of medicine a day. Now I'm down to 3 pills a day, and it's a lot easier.
This next question is kind of a threefold question. Have you disclosed to your friends and family? What was their reaction? And have you had any negative feedback to disclosing?
I was really pretty lucky. I did hesitate to tell my friends and family because you just really never know how some people are going to react to this. I was really pleasantly surprised when I did tell them that many of my friends were very supportive and actually wondered why I hadn't told them sooner. And I was one of the lucky ones, and I didn't get a lot of stigma from it. Some of my other friends have, but I was lucky on that case.
What are the pros and cons living with HIV?
The cons are sometimes taking those meds and those side effects, and depending on when you find out that you're positive. I found out really just before I went into a hospital, so I was really sick part of the time. So that was definitely a con to that. The pro side, I guess, is it's made me definitely appreciate my life a lot more in every day I have. I lost 2 partners and a bunch of friends, so I'm pretty happy to be here, and I try to make the most of every day that I have here.
Why is testing important?
Testing is very important because if you don't get tested, you don't know you have HIV, it continues to make you sick, and if you get sick enough you end up in the hospital, you might end up dead from it. So the sooner you know, the sooner you can get treated, and the more healthy you can stay.
What advice might you give someone thinking about being tested?
I know it can be scary, but the medicines are much better in 2010 than they were in 1990 or something like that. I think if you've engaged in risky behavior, you should go get tested, because the sooner you get tested, the quicker you can get treated and the less problems you have from this.
Why should young people be concerned about HIV?
Because you don't know who has HIV. Just like any other STD, you can't tell just by looking at people. Thinking that people are clean or not is not an answer. Whether they came from a rich family or none of that really makes any difference. If they've had unprotected sex, they could be infected and they could be passing whatever that is, HIV or an STD, on to you.
Why is Catawba Care important to the community?
Catawba Care is very important to the community because they do the HIV testing, so they end up getting a lot of people tested to know their status. They're here with support services, meaning they can help you with case management. They have a clinic that can do your medical. They have counselors that can help you with the emotional sides of dealing with having this. Plus, they have important programs to spread prevention and education messages out to the public so that we do try to curtail the spread of HIV.
Lastly, is there anything you want to add or to say to the viewers?
Yes, I think the only problem we can't fix in our lives is death. I mean, you can't do anything to stop that. But all the other problems you might have, you can fix them or at least make them better if you put some hard work and some patience to it. I think that being scared you might have HIV is not a reason to not get tested. Having HIV is not a reason to give up. There's testing that can get you into treatment, and there's treatment that can keep you healthy and well. So it's definitely something that people need to do so they know where their status is and so they can protect the status, be it positive or negative.
Again, thank you so much, Michael, for taking the time to share your story with us. Also, thank you, viewers, for listening. Catawba Care also offers medical and support services for people living with HIV. If anyone is interested in being tested, we offer it Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our testing is free and confidential. We are located at 500 Lakeshore Parkway here in Rock Hill, South Carolina. For more information, check out our website at www.catawbacare.org, or you can call us at 803-909-6363. And remember, when you know your status, you can protect your status. Thank you.